Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Ball is Round. I'm Hady Raphael, and tonight on the show, CF Montreal wins again at Stade Saputo. We'll take a look at Courtois' men tonight, and of course, last but not least, we'll do a deep dive into the final stretch of the season. That and a lot more on episode 196 of The Ball is Round. And I'm joined tonight by my friend, Andy Coronado. Hey, Andy, how are you today?
Hello. Feeling good. It's been a little bit that we don't have this feeling, Hadi, of what feels like not a loss. So feel good.
Yeah, it does feel good, right? Three positive games in a row. That's a bit of an unusual thing for CF Montreal fans, podcasters, bloggers, journalists, all of them. It's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead yourself, man.
No, I mean,
Express your
honestly,
joy.
yeah. Yesterday I went to the stadium after what had been for a month. I wasn't there last week, but I was to the stadium and it was. I decided to bring my mom with me, which
Nice.
I haven't seen a game with her in ages, and I forgot that the only games I used to watch with her were Peru games, right? And I forgot that she's very passionate, so she gave me her own analysis throughout the game, was chewing off my ear about that pass and this shot and all that, but she had a blast. So that's for someone that's never been in the stadium and was able to witness a victory. Obviously, me explaining a little bit everything that it consisted of the victory. It was an excellent
Nice. Always
experience.
nice to live that with close ones. And it's funny because I had also friends that came over. We had seven tickets that came yesterday
Ooh,
to watch the game. It's some friends and their children. So one 9-year old and one that's 6 and a child that's about 3 years old and 4 adults. So it was really nice. I watched the first half from the press gallery, and then I went for the second half. I went and watched it with them. The kids were so happy. The
nice.
adults were very happy too. Very exciting. They were sitting in the section 112. A
Okay.
really nice section, by the way. And I think it's better when you don't have any away fans, because if you had away fans, it would have been a bit weird to
Yeah.
be a stranger in your own stadium.
Yeah.
But it was nice this time. Honestly, I really liked it. It's been a while that I didn't watch the game from the stands, and it was really interesting.
Just a
Honestly,
nice environment. Just
yeah,
people were in a good mood and wanted the team to win. So and they gave us. I mean, we'll delve into it, but they gave us a show, man. They gave us a
yeah,
show, something to get excited about. So excited.
exactly. We'll say hi, of course, to Salam, who says hi
Hello,
tonight, saying that
salam.
we were close to the 114 and 1642. That's true, very close when we're sitting there. A lot of people at 1642, obviously, and very nice folks. So I say hi to them, and of course to the other supporters groups, the 127, of course, and the collectif, where I have good friends too at the collectif and 127. So very interesting game yesterday. Let's go right into it because there's a lot to say. Um,
Yes.
so first of all, in case you weren't at Stade Saputo, in case you haven't watched the news, in case I don't know,
Where
you're
were
living
you?
under a rock, and or let's say you're living abroad, because we do have a few listeners that live outside of Montreal, and
Okay.
maybe they haven't watched the game or they didn't see the result either. Even so, CF Montreal won that game against the Chicago Fire, a 2-0 win. That was very interesting, as we said. not a sold out crowd yesterday, right? They didn't mention a
They
sold out
announced it
crowd
as
this
sold
time.
out. I think
Ah,
they
they
did
announced it
announce.
as sold
Yeah,
out. I don't. I missed
yeah.
that.
That's what
I
I told
missed
my mom. I was like, "Mom, you brought everybody from Peru to the stadium. Good for you. You know, like that's
that.
we made it, Mom. We made it."
That's
So
exactly it. That's exactly it. She's the one that made it happen, right?
she made
So,
it happen. So shout out to
but
my mom. So
but to be 100% honest, I think it's been sold out every game at Satsaputo this year. So very very exciting. Of course, just to keep things real, when we say sold out, that means that all the tickets have been sold, right? It doesn't mean that everybody was sitting in their chair, but all the tickets have been sold by the club, which is very very exciting, I think.
yeah, but
Um,
even if okay, Heidi, maybe it's not 19,600 that are there, but there's maybe like 17,000, whatever. It is still very nice environments on a Saturday night, and especially after a victory, it's nice. It's nice. It's definitely one of the things that I'm gonna miss the most.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. Hey, we're not there yet. Hopefully, we have more than two games left. We'll
Yes.
we'll talk about that during the show, of course. So let's
Yeah.
start first talking about that game. CF Montreal, Chicago Fire. So Laurent Courtois, first of all, had his own lineup. Jonathan Sirois in goal. In defense, as on the right of the defense, George Campbell. In the middle, Gabriele Corbo. On the left, Fernando Alvarez. As wing backs, we had Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy on the right, Raheem Edwards on the left, the two midfielders with Samuel Piet and Nathan Saliba, and up front, Bryce Duke, Caden Clark, and Joseph Martinez. Andy, you look at that starting 11. Were you surprised? For you, was it obvious? Tell me all about it.
Well, look, I saw it, and right before the game, I was thinking, I was like, what, Tom Pierce had such an incredible game. Mahalo Poku had a decent game, but normally you get rewarded for that kind of play. But I was like, at the same time, Tom Pierce does seem to be a long-term project. So maybe what they want to see is see what Raheem Edwards brings to the table. So they're gonna make him start, and he plays well. Raheem Edwards did play. So when I saw that lineup and I saw that it was identical to the one that we saw last Saturday, I said, well, I mean, we're gonna see a similar play of Saturday. Nothing guarantees a win, but we're gonna see that similar style of play that we saw last weekend, and I was excited for it. Honestly, I was finally some consistency. It took a Wednesday game. It took a Wednesday game where they rotated, but when was the last time we had such a similar lineup like we did yesterday?
Yeah, exactly. And when you have a week with three games, it's kind of normal to rotate a bit.
Yep.
That's completely understandable. But at the end of the day, when you're playing at home, when you have very important games, it's very important to have consistency within the 11. We did talk about it quite a few times here on The Ball is Round. And like you said, at last, we have consistency. I think the only difference that we've seen from last Saturday's game, I was looking to see if there was a difference. I think there's one player that changed, if I'm not mistaken. I
They're
think on the
identical, no? It was
I wasn't
identical, no?
sure. No, you're right. Completely identical.
Identical.
I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure if it was Bugai on the right or
Yeah.
Marshall
That
Ruddy,
was
but yeah, you're
Wednesday.
right. Yeah,
But
that was
I
Wednesday.
mean, look,
Exactly.
the back three stayed the same. The
Yeah.
back three stayed the same for Wednesday as well, right? The back three stayed, and the midfield stayed the same with the goalie. We only changed the top three and the wing backs,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
exactly. Which is normal. Which is
that's so
normal.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is normal. Of course, I've seen so many comments right now of people talking about players. We're gonna dive right into it, and of
let's
course,
go.
we'll highlight your comments for sure. I also see Michael, telling us about the game that's going on right now between Philadelphia and DC United. We have a whole segment on the playoff stretch, so stay with us. We'll talk about it 100%. We'll talk about the standings for sure too. So let's dive into the performances of the players during that game. A 2-0 victory, of course. Let's talk
Mhm.
about everyone's performance. Let's start with Jonathan Sirois. Very sturdy performance for Jonathan Sirois yesterday, right?
Look, I've been the first one to criticize him last week. I think when we spoke about his distribution, how it's becoming a problem. Um, and yesterday, I just felt like he didn't put himself in a position. he wasn't put in a position where he had to desperately distribute the ball and had to have it successful. He came clutch at the end of the game when Chicago was pushing to score. He came clutch. I think honestly, he had a very good game. He saved it, kept a cool mind throughout the game, and it was a very nice performance. His first shutout in I don't know how long in Saputo Stadium, but one that he deserved because he had some excellent saves. Actually, I think he really saved us yesterday at the end, towards the end. But um, but yeah, an overall great performance, I think.
Yeah, and the saves. What's very interesting about Jonathan Sirois' performance, in my opinion, it wasn't just the save; it was his positioning on the saves. Because the saves weren't too hard to do. There was just one or two that was a bit with a big difficulty, but the rest were very easy because they were exactly on him. And why were they on him? Not because the Chicago team weren't able to really find the right angles. It's because Jonathan Sirois' positioning was stellar yesterday,
He's
which is
excellent.
very hard to do.
Yeah,
I think he improved a lot in that aspect this year. He improved his positioning. He knows where to be in clutch moments, which is very, very important for a goalkeeper. Everybody thinks, oh, yeah, he shot it on the keeper. Yeah, but the keeper needed to be there. And
there.
he
Yeah,
was there every time, which is, I think, very interesting for a goalkeeper to know his positioning and also to make the saves look easy. Because when the saves look easy, the pressure, you dim the pressure a bit. You help
hmm
your team relieve the pressure just because the save looks really, really simple. And
yeah.
I think he did
It's
that to the perfection yesterday.
it's a level of trust. You hear this from the greatest goalies like Emmanuel Neuer and those that are known worldwide. You always hear like, oh well, I mean, as a defender, I trusted my goalkeeper because I knew he would do that save. I knew he was going to be there, and that's when we talk about the chemistry with the back three is how much trust can the goalie have in their defenders and how much trust the defenders have on the goalie. And that's something that, as you say, it's something that he's improved in his placing, is that the defenders can play a certain style, can play a little bit loosely, and just trusting that Jonathan Sirois will have their back if anything goes awry. So yeah, absolutely, he improved a lot, and I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have Patrick that
Did
says
we
that
lose
the
you,
thing
Hady?
is, huh? No, we're here. I'm here. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Not
Oh,
sure.
maybe I
I
lost
think
it. Sorry, maybe.
you're the one that lost something. I was
No.
still here. So
Uh,
no worries. So we have Patrick that says the thing is every goal kick turn into a turnover or almost. And you know what, Patrick? We did talk about his distribution. And yes, there is a problem there, but not only that. Don't forget that the team is made in a way so that the goal kicks have to be played short. So whenever he plays it long, he doesn't have that target man up front. You're playing with Joseph Martinez, with Bryce Duke, and with Caden Clark. Nobody's going to win a header. So it makes it a bit more difficult also to keep the ball with CF Montreal whenever he needs to play long. Again, they should do better. I think the whole team should do better at that. But still, also, we cannot put everything on Jonathan Sirois' shoulder, even if, yes, he does need to do a bit of improvement on that aspect, 100%. Moving on, I think we talked enough about Jonathan Sirois because, again, a clean sheet. It's been a long time that we haven't seen a
I
clean
know.
sheet, right? I think
At home, yeah.
but even
I
away,
heard
I
the
think the
comment.
last
I heard the commentator saying that Jonathan Sirois, I think, if that still holds right now, is the goalkeeper in the MLS that has allowed the most goals so far in
second.
MLS.
Maybe
Okay,
the
I don't know if it
goalkeeper
holds.
because San Jose has more goals against,
Okay,
but
okay.
maybe they had two goalkeepers, so that's a
But
possibility.
see,
I,
at
I
least
don't know.
that last season it was completely different in
Yeah,
that sense. He definitely had a better, but it's a different style, different way of playing. So he's clearly learning, and hopefully it's clicking now. Hopefully, what we're seeing is it clicking. So we'll see.
exactly. And last clean sheet was on the 13th of July a
Et
one
voilà.
zero win in Stade Saputo against Atlanta United. So first one in the last 2 months. So that's great. And we haven't seen a lot of clean sheets from CF Montreal this year. I remember 2-0 against Nashville and Salt Lake City. Uh, but I think that's and there's also a clean sheet away from home in Columbus, but I don't remember anything else. I might
Yeah.
be mistaken, but the first game of the season also I just looked at it. First game of the season in Orlando. So altogether, not a lot of clean sheets. 100%. Let's look at that central defense. You know, that central defense that seems to be now the central defense for Laurent Courtois. So we had George Campbell on the right, Gabriela Corbo in the middle, and then Fernando Alvarez on the left. Are you satisfied with what they're
Yeah.
doing?
Oh yeah, I'm very very happy. I love seeing Gabriela Corbo in the middle, distributing the ball. I feel like over time we've seen that he's starting to become a little more vocal as well with his colleagues. Um, I like George Campbell. I always said he was a wild card, that he would attack a little bit too much and would. But you know what, Hattie? What I saw yesterday was that he seems to really mesh well with Marshall Ruddy. We'll talk about Marshall Ruddy, but they really do understand each other, what their tendencies as to who wants to go forward, who wants to stay back, and that's very important for the defense, because a lot of times in the past we saw that George Campbell would obviously probably pretty instructions of Courtois would run forward and would then find themselves, and the defense would find themselves 4 versus 2 or something like that, because he had been misplaced. And Ruan also liked to go up a lot, and didn't necessarily have the tendency to go down. So it just seems a combination that's working really really well. But in the middle, Gabriela Corbo has replaced Joel Waterman really well. I think he's and that he's proven it in the past 3 games that he's ready for that position. Maybe he's been ready. He's been in the bench so long before that. And Fernando Alvarez, I think he played a solid game. Um, they did go towards him a lot too, but I thought both our central defense did really really well the past 3 games, I'll say, and yesterday too.
No, 100%. And I feel also that I'm gonna do an insurance joke. I work in insurance, so he's a bit of our insurance policy for
Yeah,
Fernando
that's it.
Alvarez. You know,
That's it.
he's the one that keeps it safe, that makes it happen in a way with Gabriele Corbo whenever George Campbell goes forward, and he does go forward a lot,
A
and
lot.
that's something that's expected of him. That's what Laurent Courtois wants to see from him. At one point, I saw the ball with Marshall Ruddy, and I saw George Campbell really overlapping and just going straight until the final third, which was really, really interesting. And I was like, what is he doing? And
Yeah.
I liked it very much, because that's what you need to do. That's what he needs to do. When you play with the 3-man defense, you want one to bring that extra
Extra
man
help.
in the
Yeah.
final third. And we've seen it, in the past with Wilfried Nancy, it was always Kamal Miller going and to bring that extra man. We've seen it quite a lot. And at
Yeah.
that time, also, if it wasn't Kamal Miller, it was Joel Waterman that was a right center back too. And I feel that Laurent Courtois is duplicating that style of play, and I think it suits very well. The players that we have with us. I think he tried it quite a few times with Joaquin Sosa at one point, and with a lot of players. But I think that George Campbell is doing it very, very well for him this year.
Yeah,
Um,
at some point he actually, I don't know if you remember yesterday, he at some point he went in the box and he tried to pick up a penalty, but since he's not a striker and he's not a natural attacker, it was the weirdest attempt at a penalty that he kind of threw his body at the player, and I was like, everybody's like, "Boo, that sucks. They didn't call it." But then you thought about it and you were like, "What's he doing?" Like it looks weird what he's trying to do, but he's not. But he's so high up that he can give himself those chances to try to do it. So it's working, Hadi. It's starting to work. That's what I see. It's just
yeah, it is.
they're
It is
getting it.
working. It
Yeah,
is working. I was a bit, you know, not really happy to see that they conceded so many chances in the second half. That's the only thing that, sometimes I saw a few headers that they didn't win,
yeah,
a few passes that weren't really, really, really good, and then where they were misplaced. I saw a few long balls that were a bit everywhere. Now, of course, they were tired. 3 games in a week. Where at the end of the season, a lot of these players have played a lot. Some were injured. I kind of understand that, but we were playing against Chicago. All the respect that I have for Chicago. No worries there. But you're not playing against a big gun, right? So if you're playing against Columbus, you're playing against Cincinnati, you're playing against Inter Miami. All those misplaced passes could have been goals, and that's
Yeah.
something that really bothers me a bit, because I think we had a great first half, and in the second half we saw a drop in intensity, but also a drop in concentration from the back three, because we are talking about the back three.
Yeah.
Of course, there were other problems too, and we'll come right to it, as specifically in the midfield. Let's talk about that midfield, Andy, because good transition for the
right
midfield.
into it. Yeah.
Nathan
Yeah.
Saliba, Samuel Piet.
Yeah. I'm honestly, I when I'm watching Samuel Piet playing these past 3 games, I'm thinking, is this the resurrection of Samuel Piet that we're seeing, like a new version of him? Because Hady, I'm seeing him run. I'm seeing him run really like all over the field, back and forth, and really playing, doing takeaways on defense, really being involved in the midfield, really running. And Nathan Saliba also again making up really like 2 players that are playing really well off each other. That I really like to see is something we haven't seen also, even with Mathieu Chouanière in the past, as well as they played with Samuel Piet. It was just it was different, and it was I don't know, it was just different. And it's not that it was bad; it was just a different kind of midfield that I don't know if it was good or bad for Laurent Courtois. But now that we're seeing this new version of what I want to say, Nathan Saliba and both Samuel Piet, I think they're exciting to watch because they seem to be working very well. With Nathan Saliba's pass for the goal, which was he did that last week. It was almost like deja vu with Caden Clark, with the one that he didn't score, but he did it with Joseph Martinez this time. It was well timed and just flying all over the field, the midfield. I think they made a huge difference. At least in the first half, like you said, Hady, there was a change in the second half that kind of seemed to click off. But honestly, you were saying, oh, for all the respect I have for Chicago, yeah, they're a good team, Hady, but they actually made our central defenders look good because they were so bad.
They were very bad.
So bad,
Very bad.
And you know who was the worst of them all, Hady? You know who was the worst of them, all the players in
Ariel
Chicago?
Lassiter.
Ariel Lassiter, man, the
Yeah.
one that I absolutely was like, I'm so happy you're not wearing a blue shirt tonight because you are terrible. He was horrible. But and they kept playing through him. That was the worst part. They kept playing through him. So, anyways, but that's my take on the midfield. I think there's a rise. There's something there. There's something there that's happening.
There is something there. We do have a question from Salam asking, is Campbell suspended for the next game? No, he's not. So the way that it works in MLS is that whenever you have 5 yellow cards, you have a suspension. He had that, and he had his suspension. But then you need an additional 3 yellow cards to be suspended, and he got only 2 from in my count. If it was his third, I'm gonna go check for you 100%. But if it was his third, then yes, he would be suspended. But I don't think so. I think he is at his second. So he did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, you're right. It was his third. So yes, he should be suspended the next game. 100%, Salam. He should be suspended the next game, George Campbell. But you know what? I'm gonna slot one of the questions that we received before the show right here, and it's a question from Joe Zaro. So I'm just gonna put it here. I'm just gonna find it. If you guys don't mind, give me a few seconds. Joe, were you surprised that Courtois moved Corbo to the right when Waterman was subbed in? I would have thought with Corbo's recent performance in that position, he would have kept him there. And I wanna ask you that, Andy, because I was surprised too. Honestly, I was very, very surprised because, why change 2 parts of that defense instead of changing one? You replaced one player with another. But if you move Corbo on the right and you put Waterman in the middle, then you have two of your back three that are playing a new position on for this game, which is a bit weird. What did you think of it?
I found it super strange. Well, because I was sitting there and I was assuming that he was going to go to the right because we've spoken about how good Joel Waterman can play on the right, and Cordwell has been putting a performance and a half being on the at the center. I just didn't get it, Hattie. I said, what's going on? Like, is this what's gonna going forward? What we're gonna do if like like you guys said, Campbell is suspended for next game? Doesn't make much sense to me. I think Corbo has done enough, in my opinion, to prove that he deserves that center position, and Joel Waterman seems comfortable on the right. So why not? I was surprised. I did not understand that change. But again, it helped us shut out the game. So we'll see. Honestly, but I was
Yeah.
surprised.
Okay, I have a theory, and I'll answer. I give you my theory, Salam. Sorry, Joe, that asked the question. My theory is very simple. So first of all, George Campbell was very tired, and we saw it. He was exhausted, completely
Yeah.
exhausted, and had to be subbed off. The second thing is that maybe Joel Waterman was still injured and not 100%. So you didn't want to put him in that right center back spot because that would mean a lot more runs than if he was in the middle. So that's my take on this. Maybe that's the reason why he did that. Now, Gabriel Corbo can play in all three positions. Same thing for Joel Waterman too. But I think that would make sense if it's the case that Joel Waterman, he didn't want him to run that much like a right center back would have done.
Yeah,
So
because the hamstring injury is tricky. It's very tricky to come back from, and you can't just assume that they're going to play 90 minutes with it because if it gets you, you can worsen it as the game goes on. So yeah, no, maybe that's it. Maybe they just wanted him to run less. We knew that they were dropping back at that point because Chicago was in attack mode. So yeah, could have been that.
yeah, let's go back to the midfield. You gave your take. I will give mine. Listen, Samuel Piet for me has been stellar since he wasn't called to the national team. A rebirth for him. I completely agree with your assessment, Andy. A big rebirth. But also, what I like is that Nathan Saliba is doing the work. Nathan Saliba is being we're seeing the Nathan Saliba that we saw in 2023. That player, and even better, that player that can make a huge difference. We saw it with that stellar pass to Josep Martina on the first goal. What a pass! Honestly, I haven't seen that pass too often in watching soccer throughout the years. He's been really, really good, and we asked that question to Laurent Courtois in a press conference, and it wasn't my question, but the question was really, really interesting, asking what do you see in those two, and he said we worked so much to like I said, to strengthen the relationship between Saliba and Piet on the pitch. We worked with Piet
to complement
alone.
one another. Yeah,
exactly. We worked with Piet alone, and we worked with Saliba alone, so they understand each other better, to know how to move better, and we're starting to see the results, and the results are really, really good. I really love the way it's working for them. So that's that. Now for Nathan Saliba, what I like also is that we're seeing Nathan Saliba take some shots, and we saw it in New England in the midweek with that superb goal that gave us the point. So we saw that. We saw that pass on the first goal against with to Joseph Martinez. We saw again another pass last Saturday also that gave us a goal. So Nathan Saliba is really starting to emerge as a very, very good player. He was called up to the national team. It was well-deserved. Hopefully, we'll see him continue to progress going forward. Let's talk about the two wing backs, Jaquil Marshall-Rutty and Raheem Edwards. Of course, Edwards didn't have that much of an impact like he did against Charlotte, but he was pretty good still. And Jaquil Marshall-Rutty was, I think, a bit better than in the last game. What did you think about their performance?
Yeah, so I think Jaquita Marshall Ruddy understands his role. I think he's getting. I think with the more playing time, because that's one of the reasons he came here was for the playing time. Is it feels like he's understanding what he has to do and where he has to be placed in the field. Similar to what Elias was saying last week, where he kind of understands like, well, look, I'm not having much of an impact on offense. This is where I'm going to place myself, where I'm actually going to have an impact. Yesterday, I just felt like he was, he played well. He combines so well with Caden Clark. I know we'll get to Caden Clark, and
Yeah,
we'll spend the time deserved on Caden Clark. But
of course.
Marshall already, to in my opinion, is quietly doing the work and enabling the midfield with Nathan Saliba, because he's literally connecting the connecting force between Nathan Saliba and Caden Clark, or whoever's in attacking. He won't make the most beautiful pass, a long pass, but he definitely is allowing the field to move forward whenever he gets the ball. He's not causing any mistakes that you would say, okay, well, that stands out to me as a bad mistake. This stands out to me as a bad cross or whatever. He's actually just doing the work. So I'm very impressed. Raheem Edwards is a little trickier because to me, in my opinion, he can be fantastic on defense. I think he has great defensive work. But when it comes to offense, and this is something my mom wouldn't stop talking to me throughout the whole game, she was like, that number 44, he holds on to the ball too long. He holds on to the ball too long, and he always loses it. He needs to let it go. And I said, oh, that's not the way it works. But but no, he did lose the ball a lot just because he was maybe trying to play hero ball or something. But there were like I said, I really like his defensive work. I think he saved us a lot of times when they were on the breakaway, when Chicago was trying to go on the breakaway. But his offensive is a little bit trickier at times. I think he tries to do too much on his own, and then easily Chicago, I would see several times that they just like kind of gang up on him with three players, and just he'd never find himself out. So kind of tricky. Is he better than Tom Pierce? I don't know if we're comparing at this point, but like I said, I love his defensive work rate, but his offensive has a lot to work with, and Tom Pierce is the complete opposite of that. So I don't know. But I again did the work yesterday that we needed not to get that clean sheet. So
I
happy
think
with
I,
that.
I think he's better defensively. I agree with you, Andy, but Raheem Edwards and Tom Pierce. But also he runs a lot more, so he'll bring a lot more defensively and offensively. But I agree with your mom too. Sometimes he doesn't know what to do with the ball, and he
Shout out
tries
to
a bit
mom.
too much.
Yeah.
He does a bit too much. But you know what? It's worked for him in the past where he was trying to do too much, and he succeeded by doing too much. So that's the downside of having Raheem Edwards on the pitch. But you know what? When he's that good defensively and running, bringing that extra man up front, staying behind, and whenever we need a defensive player, and bringing that energy, and then playing in the middle of the pitch a bit later,
Mhm.
at the end of the game. That's all you can ask for from
Yeah.
Raheem Edwards. Now, Tom Pierce is a player that's going to bring you crosses, that's going to bring you
Crosses. Yeah.
quality, has a great free kick, and we saw it again
Oh my
against
god.
New England with that superb direct
It was
free
an
kick.
insane kick.
And I
Oh,
think it was Patrice Bernier that said on Twitter, that said, I think the last time I saw a free kick that good was when DJ Drogba was with the team, and that's exactly it.
Hattie.
He was great on free
Hattie, I
kicks.
mean, I know we don't. It's not that we don't want to, but we're not going to talk about that game in extent. But I mean, what a free kick! I mean, I'm
Yeah,
watching the game.
of
We're
course.
losing 2-0, and I'm like, well, hopefully somebody heads it in. And then I just see him nail it at top right corner, and I'm like, what are we doing? This guy just killed it. I mean, we're still losing 2-1, but what a kick! That was crazy. So I mean, again, that's a moment of magic that's going to go in highlights, but it doesn't define a game. There's so much more to a game than him just doing free kicks. but yeah, absolutely, completely different style of play than Raheem Edwards. His crosses are he gives a lot more opportunities with his crosses because his crosses are nice in corners
Yeah.
and in set pieces and whenever he has the ball. But
Uh,
defensively,
Yeah, it's a bit hard defensively.
yeah,
We do have Gilles that says, "Hi, hey Gilles, thanks for being here with us." We have Sam Savi that just said something very interesting. Pierce and Edwards are so different. It's actually luxury that you can game plan around their strengths and weaknesses depending on the opposition. Same from Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy and Bugai. And I wanted to thank you, Sam, because you're giving me a good transition when I was when I wanted to talk about Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. Honestly, I loved his game yesterday. I know that a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but he didn't show anything offensively and yada yada. But you know what? This guy ran like crazy the whole game, was able to bring some quality whenever needed. Of course, we need to see more. I agree with you 100%. But the guy hasn't played much this year before coming to Montreal. He's still getting to know Laurent Courtois' system, and we say it quite a few times. The wingbacks in Laurent Courtois' system are are very important, and their role is very, very, very tricky. So he's learning the ropes as we move on, and I feel that he's going to be very interesting going forward. Um,
the best way I can put the way I'm learning, the way I'm seeing it, Hadi, and I'm pretty sure that the Nancy system was the same way, is that the wingbacks role is so important because they are facilitators to both the defense and the offense. When Alistair Johnston was here with CF Montreal, he was a tremendous facilitator. So that's the system only works on how good your wingbacks are. And I'm sure with the crew he's doing fantastic work with his wingbacks as well. Because that's why absolutely, Hadi, I 100% agree with you. Is he won't always make the stats sheets or the beautiful like assist or like shots, but at the end of the day, just like we saw in the other end where Chicago had Ariel Lassiter as their wingback, when he has a horrible game, you lose 2-0 because he's your wingback. He's supposed to facilitate your attack and your defense. So it's so important. That can't be forgotten. That can't just be overlooked. The performance of both the wingbacks. So yes, I do agree with Samuel Savvy that they are very different profiles, but it's a luxury. It's a luxury that I think we didn't have at the beginning of the season when Rouen, I think, had no backups except for Duty. Uh, Remember those times, Hedy, when Rouen had
yeah,
no backup? It's like Grace and Duty.
yes, I do. I do remember that. And you know what? I think we have that luxury that we had when with Financy, when you had Alistair Johnson and Zachary Broguillard as a backup, and you're
Yeah.
having the same thing now on the left, but also on the right. You
hmm
have Pierce and Edwards on the left, and you have Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy and David Bugai on the right. So that's something that's a luxury that we need to have going forward. Again, they're still young. They're not going to be stellar every game. But you know what? We're building on something. And hopefully next year, it's going to be even better. We're already seeing some results right now. So hopefully
Yeah.
it's going to be even better next year. Moving on with the rest of the midfielders, the two midfielders are offensive midfielders, Bryce Duke, Caden Clark. I
Let's
just want to
go.
share one of the comments of Patrick a bit earlier, saying Caden Clark is looking great so far. 4 goal contributions in 5 games. Andy, we had him on the presser, the post game presser, and the question to him was, "What's how
What's going
can you
on?
explain how
Yeah.
can you explain that?" And he's like, I think it's the first time that I've had so much fun within a team. I'm having fun. Um, I'm not feeling pressure. I feel that I'm playing in my backyard with friends. And how great is it to hear something like that from a player with CF Montreal after the season that we've had, after the whole tension that we've had the whole season? How crazy is that?
Hadi, when I heard that, to me, I actually chuckled because I was like, from the outside, Hadi, all the fans, all of us, we see so much negativity. We see so much like this sucks, that sucks, everybody sucks, whatever. Like there's just a lot of negativity around the club. And then one of the players just says a simple statement where like he's been in other teams, he's been outside of other teams, he's been in other organizations, and he comes here and says, I'm having fun. This is fun to me. And that's like a big slap in the face to all the naysayers where they're like, okay, so there's actually people that are enjoying their time being here. They're having fun while they're here. So and obviously we can see that fun that he says is reflecting on his play, because he's flying out there. He's we don't see anybody that's remember in May when we were watching that Forge game, that everybody was kind of trotting along like him, just showing up for work, and he just brings a different vibe. And then you get that, Hady, you get that from him, that kind of energy, that kind of hustle. And then on Wednesday, you have a Jules Anthony Vilsain. So, that like, it's just, that's when you start kind of comparing, like, who wants to be here, who doesn't want to be, like, what are we doing kind of deal, So, not saying Jules Anthony Vilsain is bad. I don't want to get off like that, because he's also been injured very, very often. But it's definitely one of those things that with Kaden Clark, he made it a statement last night, made it very clear that he's very happy, he's having fun in what he's doing, and his production hasn't lied. He's one of the ones that, beyond all the running, he can actually show results in the stat sheet, right? So, absolutely. Did you want me to talk about Bryce Duke too, or did you want to talk about Kaden Clark?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Bryce Duke was tricky because they played a lot through him. They did play a lot through him. He had the ball a lot, but sometimes you're like, why are you taking so long to pass the ball? Why do you overthink what you're doing? I think it was in the first half, second half, where he had the ball. He had a running Kaden Clark on the right, and there's Joseph Martinez that was just breaking the lines of the defense, and he just needed to tap. And instead, he just kind of looked like, I have too many choices. I don't know what to do. I'm going to do a shot to the top corner, which had clearly less probability than probably a Joseph Martinez shot. And those are the moments where you're like, he was placed really well. I thought he was placed fantastic in the field. He did a good job of placing himself really well. But then once he had the ball, he just made some confusing decisions that, what, Hady, when actually my friend next to me noticed it, when they subbed him out. I don't know if you saw this, but when they subbed him out, he was actually complaining. He actually kicked his seat. He was mad. My friend said, I didn't see it. My friend said he saw him saying, why, like, why are you taking me out? Like he was not happy of being taken out. And then 2 minutes after that, his sub does the assist on Kaden Clark. And it was, at that point, if you're Bryce Duke, you're like, oh man, I should, he probably thinks he did really well and he didn't deserve to be taken out. But at the same time, I don't think he produced that well. He was placed really well. He received the ball, but beyond that, I don't know. How did you see it, Hady?
Honestly, I think that Bryce Duke had an okay game. I think in the first half he was very good, and I think at one point, in the second half, I saw he wasn't able to really keep the ball. He wasn't able to do something with the ball. He wasn't making any difference in the second half. But I think he had a very good first half. Very good, as in he was I think okay. He made things happen. He created a few things. Yes, sometimes he keeps the ball a bit more, but you know what? His through balls attempts, because sometimes he attempts through balls. They don't really work, but it's a nice idea. I see the idea behind it, and it makes sense, right? So that creativity that Bryce Duke brings is interesting. And when he's able to play on that level, like he played in the first half, like he played last Saturday, I feel that Bryce Duke can make a difference. Now, is he a starter? Not yet. He still needs to work a bit more, but he has that extra thing, that extra creativity that sometimes we look at him and we're like, I want to see more. You can be more than that. You can bring more.
But how much
and
more?
Sometimes he does. Sometimes he does.
How much more are we gonna wait? How much more are we gonna wait? Because Laurent Courtois yesterday said in the press conference, he's like, we're getting a little bit frustrated. He said it himself. He's like, the staff is getting a little bit frustrated with Bryce because we see one Bryce one day and another Bryce the next day, and it's something that the fans have been talking about. Like, what Bryce Duke are we gonna get today? But if the staff is starting to say it, then there's a problem.
Yeah,
How much
but he also said that they're very
He's
young.
very young. He's very young.
So he said it three times in his same answer. He said it three times. He's very young. He's very young. He's very young. So I kind of understand where he's going. He wants to put pressure, but he doesn't want to lose him because this guy can one day, if he shows a bit of consistency, if he brings a bit more physicality to his play, he can get very, very good. But will he ever do that? I'm not sure. It's possible that it's never going to happen.
It
Like
might
it's
not
possible
happen.
that it's going to happen. As of right now, it still hasn't happened, but we see those glimpses of madness, those glimpses of creativity that are very interesting in a soccer player like Bryce Duke. We have quite a few comments on Bryce Duke. So, first of all, we say
Is
Samuel
Wellington out there?
Savi again saying he's not here, Darlington.
Wellington, where
Duke
you at?
Duke should play a bit deeper on the pitch because his ability to flick and turn the ball could unlock the low layer of opposition midfielders. He seems a bit lost playing close to the forward. And he tried it, Laurent Courtois, during the year, where he played along next to
Nathan Saliba.
Nathan Saliba because Samuel Piet was called up to the national team. Uh, yeah, I completely agree. I think that again he can play forward, but he needs to bring something else. But right now, I think he could be very, very good next to Nathan Saliba. But I also like too much
It's
Piet and
working
Saliba
too
right now.
good. Don't.
We can't change that.
It's not broken. Don't fix it. No, keep
Yeah,
it the way it is.
and I want to give my piece on Caden Clark because
Go ahead.
I said it here on The Ball is Wrong. That for me, this is the best signing that was done by CF Montreal during the offseason. Because for me, he was that player that could become that great player. And honestly, he's been showing that lately. And again, I was asked, I think on not here, but on Can FC, I was asked, where do you see him play? And I said as second striker next to the striker's position, like a bit behind him or next to him, a 9.5 style. And that's exactly what Sam Savi is saying. Instead of playing on the same line, Clark should play as a second striker and Duke as a sort of 8.5. And I completely agree with that. And at times, organically, this is what we're seeing. We saw it against Charlotte. We saw Duke playing a bit more, maybe not an 8.5, maybe more like a 10 sometimes, trying to create something, and Clark trying to find those spaces in order to find to be one-on-one with the keeper or get the final pass. And we saw that quite a few times. And we saw it again in that game at the 74th minute when Kwadwo Opoku this time gave that amazing pass from Opoku to Caden Clark. They were really synced, the both of them, because no offside there. Really good play. And Caden Clark with a chip, a one-on-one, he chipped the ball. That takes a lot of confidence. And we saw that question from Tony Marinaro saying, sometimes it's hard to chip the ball because technically this is a very hard thing to do. And he did it to the perfection. He scored that goal. So amazing Caden Clark. Even before he started, giving some contributions, I love the way he integrated himself to that team. He tried to do as much as he could at first, and then we saw him learn from his teammates, learn how they move, learn how they expect to receive the ball, learn how they give the ball themselves, and move accordingly. And this is what he did. He's been really stellar since he joined the club, and I'm pretty sure he's going to grow more in the next few weeks, the next few months, and next year.
Hady, I don't think he's gonna stay here long because he's got talent, Hady. He's got
Yeah,
talent.
I
He
agree.
has you can tell he has the drive. I mean, he came here with one purpose. He made it very clear in his first press conference. He's like, I have my dream to go to Europe. That's why I came here, because I've seen the likes of Georgi Mihailovic that were developed and were sold outside. So Montreal, as much as you love me as long as I'm here. Like I'm not gonna be here long because he
Yeah,
has that vision. And it's the first time in a long time. I think the first time this season, that we can truly say we see a player that wants to be here, that wants to play, that wants to win, that is willing to do that run, that is willing to run back on defense, run back to defense to restart the play. We haven't seen that throughout the whole season. So he's a breath of fresh air. Absolutely, Hady, 100% the best, the best signing of the offseason. We can't you can't put a value on the right wing back and left wing back and top players, because also, I mean, they create depths that we didn't have before, and have decent skills. So I'm excited, Hadi. I'm excited to
Yeah,
see what he's
it's
gonna
exciting.
do, and who he works with the most, who he complements the most, because that's also going to be an important part of his game. Who understands who's going to complement this, similar to what we're seeing right now with Nathan Saliba and Samuel Pietz. They're complementing each other so well. Who's going to do that for Kaden Clark? Is it going to be Bryce Duke? Triple.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll
I
see.
don't know, and that's a question that Patrick White said, a charge question saying, imagine if we add a DP level guy next to Clark instead of Duke. Yeah, we can imagine. So hopefully we'll see something. I doubt it, but you never know. You never know. Moving on, Joseph Martinez. Andy, I'll let you start with Joseph Martinez and his performance yesterday.
Look, we talked about it last week, where Kaden Clark was saying, "I'm trying to understand Joseph Martinez. I'm trying to get how he works." And I asked you guys, I was like, who gets Joseph Martinez? Who understands him? And then yesterday, after I don't know how long, I think since the preseason, that he actually gave a press conference. He actually went to the press conference. Where I was like, oh, Joseph Martinez actually wants to talk, and he said something very important to me. How he complimented Nathan Saliba for being like, we are lucky to
Yeah,
have that guy. And I know I'm not really talking about Joseph Martinez's play. I'm talking about something he said, and the fact that he seems like revitalized in some way. But it's important because yesterday I did see a Joseph Martinez that was very, very committed. He wasn't, we've seen games where he's kind of jogging, kind of like just running to run, or and kind of trying to do his own thing. I think Laurent Courtois in the past has said that players, not naming specifically him, but players like him. And you said it, Hadi. You were the one that said there is no way he plays again. There is no way he plays again. But we see that Laurent Courtois does give second chances. Anyways, yesterday he seemed like a player committed to that score that he did, that goal that he did. Oh my God, what a kick! What a kick! If you see it in slow motion, if you see the replay, just the way he bends his body and he curves it into the goal was something that I was like, man, last year Chinonso 4 would have probably found a way to shoot it to
he would have
one
skied it. He would have skied it. 100%. 100%.
he would have sent it to 132 or somewhere. My mom would have probably caught the ball. I don't know, but I mean, what a curve! What an excellent! That just shows, like, that to me is just experience. That guy's experience. He knows how to score goals, and he's just been waiting for that perfect serve. Hattie.
Yeah.
He's been waiting for that perfect serve for somebody to just give him the ball. So he's been doing the runs. He's been doing the runs, and honestly, showed a lot his experience yesterday. Didn't celebrate after his goal. I was hoping he'd run and give Laurent Courtois a hug and then make everybody happy again and clap. But nope, didn't celebrate. People love to read into that. So, but no, it really lifted up the whole stadium once that goal was scored. Everybody was very happy.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? At the end of the day, a striker is judged by the goals that he scores. And
Yeah,
he did score a goal. Maybe his performance wasn't that amazing because apart from the goal, he didn't do much. But you know what? At the end of the day, you scored the goal. That's all we ask from you. Not a lot more. We just need you to score a goal, and that's what he did. And he was very happy in the presser, the post game presser too. Uh, and I asked him about his relationship with Bryce Duke and Caden Clark. And his answer was very simple.
yeah.
They run a lot and I look old. So
Feel old. Yeah, yeah,
I feel old. So you know what?
yeah.
Uh, we see he looks like someone that's in a very good mood, happy to be here, happy to see those results, happy to be playing with Bryce Duke and Caden Clark. And again, and you talked about him talking about Nathan Saliba also. So I feel that he's being a good leader to those youngsters, which is helping a lot. So is he taking his role a bit more seriously than he did a few months ago? that's a possibility. And I, like you said, I thought they would never be back. But you know what? It seems like his attitude has changed
Yeah.
180. It changed completely. And you know what? Now getting that extra thing, which is a goal, that's going to even lift him up a bit more. And we need a very good and a very sharp Joseph Martinez in the final stretch. That's going to be very important. So let's wait and see if he's going to be able to build on that. I'm pretty sure we will. I'm pretty sure he will, but we'll see if it's possible. We have quite a few questions here live, but also questions that were sent to us before the show. For the live questions, a lot of them are on playoffs. We'll talk about playoffs a bit later in the final segment. Let's
Playoffs.
answer. Let's answer or the stretch, the final stretch, a possibility of playoffs, and yada yada. So let's move on to the next questions before we go to the next segments. First of all, Emile Archambault that says, so glass half full, and how did one afternoon of go-kart really change everything? What do you think, Andy?
Yeah. I mean, I don't apparently. I mean, they asked this to the coach, and they said, "Did everybody go to go kart?" We don't know who went or who didn't go, but something happened, Hadi, after that 4-1 loss. They had that footy golf and also the go karts if everybody went, but something changed. I don't know if it was a deep conversation. I think Elias always said, they all need to just kind of go into like couples therapy or like group hug or something. But something happened, something clicked because, as you said, Joseph Martinez' attitude changed, but not just Joseph Martinez. Laurent Courtois also seems a little looser, a little less, more relaxed than when he talks, and it just seems like the vibe around even Gabriel Gervais came out to talk. He's like, I just want to talk. Like, there's nothing. I'm not stressed. And it's just like something clicked, something changed, where it's like everybody's a little bit more loose. Um, Glass half full. I'm always too positive, Andy, but I think that maybe that's what was the difference, or maybe just a real look in the mirror, and maybe right now we're just I think it became clear to a lot of players and maybe the staff as to what players are not meant to be there, what players are maybe being a problem to the team morally. So it's one of those things where maybe they bonded over, let's get this, guys, let's get this what we have with what we have now. We have control. So I don't know. It just seems like a different team. Like yesterday when I was watching the match with my mom, I was like, it just seems like the team is moving in a system. It looks like they're moving in unity. It doesn't look like it's one individual outperforming the next. It's just against Chicago, they really seem to be like a unit moving. Hadi, they came back from 2-0 away
Yeah,
on Wednesday with their
yeah. That
B
takes
team, if you
that takes a lot of cohesion, and that takes a lot of
belief,
mental strength,
belief in themselves.
and belief in themselves, but mental strengths, because you need to get over the fact that you got scored on twice, and then find a way to fight back, and then being able to uh, to 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 materialize those actions into goals, and they were able to do that. Those are three very distinct things that are very hard to do in soccer, in any sport too. So they were able to do that, which is immense, knowing all the season that they've had and all the problems that they've had this year. So I I, I I think
Hadi,
that
think
people
think about
are
this.
under. Yeah, go ahead, Andy.
Think about this, Hadi. We weren't able to come back from down 2-0 against Forge at home.
Yeah, for sure.
So that just like that was when June, July, whenever it happened, or back in May, I don't remember. But the same team, not the same team, but just like just a few pieces here and there, and we were able to come back. And in a field that everybody, as you guys said, and everybody was saying, well, is crap, is a crap field, a crap stadium. It's we were able to come back. So that like you said, it's so many components of this team that are seeming to flourish at the right time. Because Hadi, when we were down 2-0 in Wednesday, I don't know if you had the same thoughts in your mind. I was like, here we go again. Here we are at it again. Then Tom Pierce had that free kick, and I was like, what is happening right now? Then I saw Nathan Saliba go, and I was like, oh my God, we might actually do this. And then there was almost that goal again that Raheem Edwards held on to the ball too long, that he could have potentially shot it and have a decent try. But it's a different team, Hady. What do you think? What do you think has changed, in your opinion?
I feel that a lot of people underestimate team morale.
Hmm.
Team morale is super important in order to go forward, to move forward, to advance forward. You need to be able to trust each other, and that trust doesn't come naturally, right? It needs to be built, it needs to be nurtured. And I feel that, those activities, as trivial as they are, help nurture that cohesion, help nurture that team, and the team building and the team morale. So it's very stupid to say, we go kart and then we're gonna win. No, it's the mentality that you go into those activities that's important. And Samuel Piet said something very interesting in the last presser after Charlotte. He said, we went karting, we did footy golf, but you know what? Those players, Tom Pierce, David Bugay, others, I didn't know them personally on a personal level. We knew them on the pitch. Yes, we trained together, but outside of work, which is soccer, I don't know them. So I learned to know them. And by knowing them, I realized that those people might be cool, might be interesting. And you know what? I'm going to trust him a bit more because he likes to do exactly the same things as I do, and so on and so on. At the end of the day, those players are humans. You know, if you
Yeah.
are at work, you go to work yourself. I go to work too. If you have
Hmm.
someone that loves soccer and talks about soccer, it's kind of normal that you would want to engage in conversations with that person more than someone that doesn't like soccer, that treats soccer as a nuisance. And that's
Yeah.
completely normal. So it's the same thing in a soccer environment. If you like, let's say, playing video games, and the other one likes it too in his spare time, then of course it's kind of normal that you would hang out with that person and try to develop something with him. And I feel that those go-karting, the footy golf, they help bring those people together on a
Yeah.
personal level and gives that extra something going forward with the team. The
Yeah.
rest, of course, is a lot more important. But the difference between a very good team and a good team is the team morale, is the atmosphere in a dressing room. This is the difference that we're looking for. And did it take only that for them to realize that? Maybe not. Maybe something else clicked. Maybe Laurent Courtois created something different. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
the coincidence after those two team events and the results
It's too
is
much.
kind of
Yeah.
story. It's a story. It's this is the story that's unfolded right after those team activities. So I give it a lot of extra points in the
Yeah.
future for
But
sure.
no, how do you like look, think about it. You and I, we both, have our own jobs, and we have our colleagues and all that. And then whenever there's that event, you get that email or you get that text where they say, hey, we're doing a 5 cassette here, or we're doing this
Yeah,
activity after
of
work,
course,
and you're like, yeah, let's go, because all you do between the four walls of your office is talk about work and work, and sometimes work is not going well, and all you talk about is negative work, negative work, negative work. But then you get out and it's like a completely different environment, and you're doing the same cassette, and you can actually just, you know we can talk about our families, our pets, our kids, our country, our whatever. That once you get back on the field, or once you get back at the office, it's like, hey, we have an inside joke from that time we spoke about this, and we have an inside, like, I know more about your family, I'm interested in your food, whatever it is. It's a different level, even for Samuel Piet, who was the captain of this club. It gives him also the confidence to know how to talk to David, and know how to talk to Tom Pierce, how
of
to talk
course,
to them as a captain, like how to address them, like, hey, now I know a little bit what you like, what you don't like, as a human being, not a player, as a human being. I know what you like and what you don't like, so it's gonna make more sense to play with you and be communicate without necessarily having to talk. So Yeah, big response to the question.
Yeah. So thanks for the question. Of course,
Yeah,
Emil, very interesting as usual listener for I think since at least a couple of years. Emil Charchambault, thanks a
fantastic
lot.
question. Yeah.
Next question from Sean that said, "Do you think it would be better to miss the playoffs in the hope that it would make Joey change his philosophy?" Listen, I'm going to answer very shortly, and I hope it's going to be a very short answer. So, Andy, if you want to add on this, feel free. I, I don't think the philosophy will ever change. So,
Nope.
making the playoffs or not making the playoffs, I don't think that this year it's important, but I don't think this is going to make the difference between the philosophy that we have right now and the future philosophy. It's going to stay the same. That's my opinion. What do you think, Andy?
Look, I'm gonna even one up you, Hattie. I don't even think the playoffs is that important to them. No, to answer that question, the philosophy is never going to
To
change.
Gervais, yes, he said it quite a few times that it's
To
important.
Gervais, to
Yeah.
Gervais, but I mean, look, Hattie. Same thing I said in a tweet today. Courtois has said in the past, this is a transition year. And last night, he also said, look, we're doing what we can, but I mean, we're mostly focused
Next season.
on building for the future. So
Yeah.
it's like, playing, you see him on the field, the players seem to care. The players seem to want to win. And Laurent Courtois seems to be also coaching. Like, he wants to win. But the messages are clear to me, So even, like I said, Hadi, I'm going one step further and assuming that, hey, you know what, guys, try your best. If you don't make it, it's not a big deal. But this is who we're
Uh,
rolling. This is who we're rolling with next year.
I,
This is
I,
what.
for me, the boss is Gabriel Gervais. The
Okay.
boss wants you to reach the playoffs. I don't care what you think. Like Laurent Courtois, what Laurent Courtois thinks, it's
I'm
not
offended.
important. No, I wasn't talking about you. But I think that at the end of the day, the boss wants a playoff. So this is what matters. But again, I don't think that making the playoffs or not making the playoffs is going to change anything in the philosophy. And that was the question, the main question.
Okay.
We'll talk about playoffs a bit later, 100%, as we said quite a few times already in this show. Next game, and that's a question from Tate Brooks, of course, longtime listener too. Who do you think starts besides Caden Clark next game? Duke or Opoku?
At home, Duke, 100%. At
No, I
home,
feel 100%.
Duke.
I don't think he's going to change anymore. Opoku is maybe going to come in case, one of them is not playing well.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a possibility because he becomes that pass was great. So he becomes a viable option going forward. But I don't think he's going to change anything. Completely agree with you. And
I think he's
I
still.
think,
They're gonna try to figure each other out, and I think Laurent Courtois
yeah,
is gonna be patient with Bryce Duke to try to figure each other out with Kid and Clark. They're not
yeah,
bad together, Hadi. They play decently well. Those two,
yeah.
they get each other. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And by the way, I just want to say someone saying that I'm right. So I'm happy. So Jules saying you're saying right things, Hadi. The team spirit is on the pitch and outside too.
What
The
about me?
team's players should act as family to bring good results on the pitch. So that's great. And he adds on that the goals of the team must be the playoffs to be attractive. I completely agree with you, Jules, even if, as we said quite a few times, at the end of the day, sometimes it's not reachable. This year it is. Last question from our listener, Dr. Food. It's in French, so I'll translate it a bit later. No, during the show, he said, first of all, Vilsa is going from a starter to completely absent from even the bench. What's his future for 2025? And then he asked, is it over for Victor Wanyama, Lassi Lapalainen, and Sunusi Ibrahim, or are we going to see them until the end of the season? So I'm going to ask you to answer those questions, but also we're going to dive into the second segment because I think that's a very good transition going forward. And let's talk about Courtois' men, because right now I feel that it's very clear who he's trusting going forward, Courtois. So answer the question first, and then we'll talk about Courtois' men right after, Andy.
Hady, I'm going to say something right now that is probably might not age well, but the squad we saw last night is his squad. Anybody that was not there is not part of these plans. That's what I
Interesting.
think. That's what I think. Julien
So
Thémy
I'll give the question. So I'll give the names if you don't mind. So Jonathan
yeah.
Sirois, George Campbell, Gabriele Corbo, Fernando Alvarez, Jacqueline Marshall-Rudy, Piet, Saliba, Edwards, Clark, Duke, Martinez, and then on the bench you had Opoku, Yankov, Kokaro, Waterman, Tom Pierce, Breza, and then the players that didn't play are part of the squad too, in your opinion. So Sosa, Ibrahim, and Bugai.
No, sorry. So sorry. So those three, the ones that didn't play, are, as you said, insurance policy, in my opinion, where they're gonna be like, hey, if one of these guys get hurt, then you're in.
Okay.
But the ones at least that are being given the chance, we were heavily rotated on Wednesday, Hady.
Yeah.
We were heavily rotated, and Sunusi didn't go in. So I mean, it's and Yankov only went for a few minutes, I think, right at the end, towards the end.
Yeah, he went
So
on both games for a few minutes. So
yeah, so it's um let's talk about Julien Thémy. Again, not sure if he's hurt yet again, because I did see him at the end of the game on Wednesday. That when he was on the bench, I think it was the team medic that was attending to him. Not sure if he was limping or if he got hurt. It doesn't seem to. So I don't know, Hady, if he needs to play at a lower level to maybe, or hit the gym more during the summer. Don't know what he needs to do, or maybe the style of play just doesn't fit him. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating for him. It must be frustrating for the coaching staff too. I think he has all the tools to be an excellent player. I do think that he has he's great with the ball. I on Wednesday I didn't feel like he was much impactful off the ball, and it seemed like Matias Kokara was getting very frustrated with his hustle, because again, it's not the same as I mentioned earlier. I don't feel it's the same level of energy that Caden Clark and Jules Anthony bring up front. Victor Wanyama, you want to talk about that, Hady? Because
yeah, for sure, for sure. And
that
he asked Dr. Foot is asking for Wanyama, Latsi, and Sunusi.
yeah. So Victor Wanyama was not at the stadium last night with the players
Yeah.
that were not playing, which to me, Hady, is a big statement.
Yeah.
He's not there. He's not part
And
of this.
he was asked this Laurent Courtois in the presser, and he said, I spoke with him, and I told him that I'm not going to use him for the next couple of games.
Yeah.
He didn't say for how long, and he said I also talked to him about other things, but he didn't want to go into it.
I mean,
So
the clip that was put out by, I think it was Sid that put it out on Monday, where he's talking to him. Hady, the body language just shows a guy that's down on his luck. He just seems to see like found out bad news, like like I can't do this anymore, kind of deal. I don't know. We don't know, right? We just see images, but it just seems like a guy that's down on his luck, and then maybe Laurent Courtois trying to push him to do something, but he wasn't there yesterday. And if anything, he's the highest paid player in this team.
yeah,
This is the moment when we use the highest paid player as we're doing a playoff push.
yeah.
So those are the things that you start wondering, where you're like, what are we doing around here? What I really don't. I think we're done with Victor. I think that case is closed, shut, and unfortunately, as it's been in the past with different dossiers in this team, it's going to be one that ends ugly and not a beautiful ending.
You know what? That's something that I'm not sure of. Honestly, I see a lot of people saying that he needs to go. Jules is saying I think Wanyama has made good things for the team. It's time for him to look elsewhere. Grumpy saying Piano Man is a goner. We saw quite a few people saying we have to replace Wanyama's DP stop with an offensive DP. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Laurent Courtois offers him a place in the coaching staff.
It will be great.
I'm not sure if this is gonna happen, but I wouldn't be surprised because Wanyama is kind of happy still here in Montreal. He has been here for what? At least he came in with the Thierry Henry, so it's been 4 years already. that
Yeah.
he's been here 4 or 5 years. I think that he's happy here. He was about to leave and then he came back. Um, I'm not sure if he's ready to go on a new challenge. It's possible, but I'm not sure. So let's wait and see what's gonna happen. Because I feel that the discussion that we saw during training and we saw Sid Fowo really film that discussion between the two, it seemed a very courteous discussion. It
Yeah.
seems like so there was something that was being built. So I don't know. My speculation is that this is what's going to happen. Maybe he's going to refuse it, but I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if that's the case going forward. We already see Laurent Simon being a part of the squad, a former player, even if he went to Toronto before coming back to Montreal.
Yeah.
So
But I
for
mean, he knows.
Lassie,
Yeah, he knows the club so well,
yeah,
Hady. He knows the
yeah,
club. He knows
yeah,
the city, and he's seen the shit. I'm sorry. He's seen how it goes, how things go here. So
yeah,
people respect Victor Wanyama because
yeah.
he's played in England and he made a name for himself. Alistair Johnson spoke a lot about. Before he left, he said, I spoke a lot with Victor about joining Celtic, and he's the one that convinced me that Celtic was a
Of
good club to
course,
join. So
of course.
that goes to show the kind of influence that his word can have on people, And when Sunusi scored that goal a few months ago, I think a few weeks ago or whatever, that he scored a goal, he went straight to Victor Wanyama to hug
Of
him.
course.
So it
But
showed.
he took him under his wings since the beginning,
Yeah.
Sunusi.
He
Wanyama took him under his wings, and he said it since day one, Sunusi, that, my big brother, Victor Wanyama. It's
he has
very
that
known.
power. Yeah, he
Yeah,
has that power to he has the lore
he's
of
a leader.
players.
He's a
Yeah.
leader.
So if he can do that, and he knows, again, he's not a stranger. He knows what it's like to be the highest paid player, the pressure that comes with that. He knows what it's like to be young and want to play in Europe. He could make a big difference in this coaching staff. So yeah, absolutely. I hope if it does happen, I really hope it happens in a smooth transition and he's okay with doing it.
We'll
So
see. We'll see. But
yeah,
I don't think he's going to come back as a player. Completely agree with you. For
yeah.
Lassi Lapanainen, I think it's never going to
Out.
happen again.
Yeah, he was
For
there last night with his agent, and he was just like whatever. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Joaquin
even.
Sosa, I think his loan is going to finish. He's going to go back to Bologna. We might be getting him back on a loan. That's possible, but I don't think he's
I
part
doubt
of
it.
the team.
Uh,
And but the only player that I don't agree with you on is Jules Anthony Vilsa. I'm pretty sure he's going to be part of the team next year.
okay.
100% sure. I think that you don't give a start to someone on Wednesday and tell him you're not part of my team after. Even if he had a bad performance, he gave him a start. He didn't give him 5 minutes. He gave him a start. Same possibility that Dominic Yankov, that played 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there, is not part of the squad. I don't think so, but maybe he's not going to be part of the squad in next year. But for Vilsa, he got the start, and for me, this is
Yeah,
a big vote of confidence. So I feel that he's going to be part of that 2025 squad, 100%. But
I hope
again,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll see Joel Waterman. Don't forget, end of contract for him too. Not sure if he's going to be part of that team next year either. Let's wait and see. Hopefully he will. I'm someone that really likes Joel Waterman, but I wouldn't be surprised if he
He
goes
seems
and
he's
looks for
it.
something else too.
It's a similar thing as Victor Wanyama, where Joel
Yeah,
Waterman is again one guy that came from CPL, knows that what it's like to come from the lower leagues, and has held the captain's armband. Has also, you know, yeah, he's also kind of done everything. He's seen everything, so it would be special to keep him in the time, like with the club. I think it'd be important.
yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I think we have talked about Laurent Courtois' new man. We feel that, as you said, Andy, this is the squad that he's going to rely on in the final stretch, and this is the next transition to our third and last segment and answer all the questions regarding the playoffs going forward. So I'm going to show the questions first because we're going to talk about the final stretch. We will talk about the possibility of making playoffs at the end. Right now, we just want to set the table. First of all, we'll see your questions, and then we'll set the table, and then we'll answer everything. Okay. So First of all, we had I think it was Patrick that was the first one that talked about the playoffs, and it was, oh, he asked a question before the show, and he said, how many points do you think CF Montreal will need in the final 4 games to make the playoffs? Considering you don't have the tiebreak, I say nine from 4 games, so that means 3 wins in the last 4 games. That's what Patrick says. We do have Jules that also asked about playoffs, and his question was, where is it? I'm just looking for it. Yeah. Do you think CF Montreal is going to make it to the playoffs? Last year, at this period of the season, they were struggling too. This year, they're not struggling. That's the difference. They have the wind in their, how do you say it? In their sails, whatever. I'm not sure.
How do you? Sorry, George
Yeah.
Campbell said. I'll answer after. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. And then he says, as 3 teams or so are struggling for the last ticket heading to the playoffs, what are the chances of Montreal to grab it? We'll talk about that for sure. And these are the questions that we received regarding the playoffs. So let's set the table, Andy. Let's set the table going forward. So we're going to look at the schedule. First of all, the standings. And then we're going to look at the schedule of CF Montreal. And then we'll look at the schedule of each one of the teams that we're competing against. So we're going to look at 8 different schedules. So let's start with the standings first. So the standings, do I have it? So we know already, I think Philadelphia was winning 4-0 at one point. I'm not sure if it's done.
They destroyed United, yeah.
Yeah, the game is done. So we have the standings. I'm just going to take a new screenshot because now we have the real standings since the Philadelphia DC game is done and dusted. So it won't be too long. Standings. Thank you. And then I'll put it here right away in front of us. Standings. Thank you. Slowing, yeah. So standings. So we have, okay, let's not look beyond like the 7th place because it's impossible that we reach the 7th place. So let's look at 8th and down. So Toronto with 36 points, only 3 games left. Very important. Toronto, 36 points, only 3 games left in the 8th position. Philadelphia that just won, 36 points with 4 games left. Montreal in 10th right now, which is amazing as of right now, with 34 points with 4 games left. Atlanta was 33 points with 4 games left. Nashville, 33 points, also with 4 games left. DC United, 33 points, again with the 4 games left. Chicago, 29 points with 3 games left. And then New England with 28 points, but they have 5 games left. So when I prepared the show, for me, Chicago, I'll forget about them because I don't think they're gonna matter in the final stretch. But New England, I did look at them because 5 games, 28 points, they might still make it. I doubt it, but they might still make it. Let's look at those games that are left. So they have, and I forgot to put 1 game. So they have, they're playing against, no, this is the Nashville, sorry.
Yeah.
Nashville. Did I put the New England? Where did I put the New England? So I'll show the New England later. I was pretty sure that I did it, or maybe I made a mistake.
I can say it if you want.
Yeah, just say it. I'll put the picture. Right
New England has Nashville left, and they have Houston left, DC United, Columbus, and Inter Miami to finish the year.
Exactly. So those 2 games at the end, I think, are going to be super difficult for them. Also, they're playing against 2 two teams that are playing for the same spots, which are Nashville and DC United. Whenever teams are playing against, against each other, this helps a lot CF Montreal, by the way. So I feel that this is something that we can't really forget, that those teams are playing against each other. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the first schedule. I'll show a picture of it just because I just want people that are right now watching will see this. So here it is. New England. So as you said, Nashville at home, Houston away, DC United, Columbus away, and then Miami away. So again, the last two games away, you can forget about it.
Yeah,
It's going to
almost
be
guaranteed
very hard
loss.
for them to
Yeah.
win. Even if Columbus and Miami will not have a lot to play for anymore, I'm pretty sure Miami would have won the Supporter Shield. By the end of the day, in front of your own fans, you want to win
You
every
want to
game.
win. Yeah.
That's completely normal. The next team that we're going to take a look at is, we took a look at New England. It's going to be DC. DC United they play at home against Columbus, away in Nashville, away in New England, and then at home against Charlotte. Honestly, when I look DC's schedule, I don't see them win more than one game. I doubt
Really?
that they'll win. Yeah. Do you think they're going to win in Nashville or in New England? I don't think
I
so.
mean, that schedule's light, man. I mean, New England and Charlotte, they haven't been necessarily either have been too wow to say like they're guaranteed wins for DC, no? They just lost 4-0 against Philadelphia.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if there's only one game that they might win, is the one against Charlotte. The other three, they're
Yeah.
gonna lose them. That's what I meant. So, so in your opinion, they're not even gonna win against Charlotte.
No, I think the contrary, Hadi. I think that they could beat. I don't know. I don't know.
Who?
Honestly, it's hard
Who?
because
Tell me
uh,
who? Do you think they
uh,
can win against Nashville?
I think
Nashville are 5-5-6 at home, with I think the last three
yeah,
three games they got wins at home. You have New England. You're playing on turf on a field that nobody likes, and it's very hard to play there. And already
yeah,
they're struggling, so not really sure that something's gonna happen there. Against Columbus, forget it. They're never gonna win.
they're never
So
gonna win. Yeah, yeah.
they might maybe get a
Okay.
draw here and there, but I don't see them
Yeah,
win in Nashville
yeah.
or
They're
in New
very.
England.
I just see it as like how bad the other teams are, and I guess yeah, Nashville, Columbus. Forget it, they're gonna lose Nashville. I get it. Yeah, they could lose. They could, probably will lose against them, and then
Oh,
and
sorry.
then well, yeah, the other ones. I guess Charlotte is your best bet to at least win, but yeah, I wouldn't bet on DC. They don't seem like a good team right now, so
Exactly.
it's all momentum,
Already,
right? Right, Heidi? Momentum.
exactly. It's
So
all momentum. So already, if you look at New England, I don't think with the points that CF Montreal have, they're already safe from them. With DC United, they just need, if they win one game, they're going to be 2 points ahead of CF Montreal if they win zero. So you need those 2 points already to get the playoff spot, or to get ahead of DC. Let's
mhm.
look at Nashville. Nashville is playing in New England, very tough, I think, but they might get a draw there. They're
Yeah,
playing against DC, pretty sure they'll win. Playing in Yankee Stadium in New York City, that's gonna be hard,
that's
but they
tough.
can they can get something out of there, because New York is not doing very well in the last stretch. And then playing in Chicago, I think Nashville has a very, very good schedule. Even if they have only one game at home, I still feel that Nashville could get 6 to 8 points in those 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, but Nashville has shown inconsistency. They've been
Yeah,
winning. They've been winning the past few games. So maybe again, we're when we talk about momentum, maybe the momentum is in their, in their favor. But honestly, like up and down, so unpredictable. So yeah,
yeah,
decent shot, like you said, Hattie, based on what the other teams are. But yeah, they are very unpredictable as a team. So we'll see.
exactly. Then we have Atlanta. Atlanta playing in Philadelphia. Uh, just saw Philadelphia trash completely DC United 4-0. So I think it's going to be very hard. I think that game between Atlanta and Montreal could be very, very important for the Montrealers.
That's going
So
to be a
get at
final.
least a
Yeah.
draw. Get at
Yeah.
least a draw. And then you look at the last two games, they're going to be very tough for Atlanta United, playing against the Red Bulls and then going in Orlando for the last game for decision day. So it's a hard and tough schedule for Atlanta. And then we look at TFC. And for me, this is the toughest schedule of everyone, going in Vancouver, going in Chicago, receiving the Red Bulls, and then Miami.
Hady, I don't think they're going to win any games because Toronto.
Maybe in Chicago. Maybe in Chicago. That's the
But
only
they're
one.
so bad, Hady.
Yeah,
They're
they
like
are.
so
They are.
bad.
They are.
Even
They
a
are.
Chicago team can beat.
Sorry. Vancouver is the Canadian Championship final, so forget
Oh.
it. It's just 3 games. So
Yeah.
in Chicago, they only have 3 games. So I have in Chicago, against the Red Bulls, and against Miami.
I don't know.
So how many games do you think that they can win? I think only one.
I think the way they've been playing, the inconsistency that they are, none. Hady, they're fully focused on the Canadian Championship. That's all they want to win.
Yeah.
And then the rest, they're like, well, we got here, so we're good. So if they win on Wednesday, that's this Wednesday, right? This week.
Yeah.
What do they have to? What they have nothing else to do. They're good.
But maybe it's going to give them a lift, right? Maybe that it's going to give them a lift to go forward, to get more games, give them a confidence going forward. I don't know, but the only thing that I see is that Toronto will not be playing any games on decision day, so they're going to have 2 weeks with nothing to do.
Fun.
Just wait for the others' results to see if they're in or not, in my opinion. So let's wait and see. And then let's look at CF Montreal, playing in San Jose, playing in Atlanta, playing in Charlotte, and playing against New York City FC. I like our chances, man. I like our chances. If we win against San Jose already, we have 37 points.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the only teams that we need to worry about, in my opinion, are going to be Nashville, Philadelphia, and Toronto.
Yeah, I'm okay with that because Nashville, like I said,
Atlanta too. So for me, you have those: Toronto, Philadelphia, Montreal, Atlanta, and Nashville are going to be the teams that are going to be playing for that final spot, for that final 2 spots. The only thing, Andy, is that Toronto only has 3 games left, and maybe they will get maybe a draw here, maybe a win there. So I don't see them reach 40 points.
Me neither. No, so, I really don't see it. Yeah. I don't know, man. The best, I honestly think that Atlanta game is one that we need to circle in our calendar because it does look like it's going to be a final for us. It's going to be crucial. And, well, Philadelphia, it's always a wild card. You never know if they're going to be fantastic or horrible as who's going to show up on the field, right? We've seen that twice. So we'll see. I think they're going to be our biggest competitions.
Interesting. So let's answer Patrick's question. How many points do you think CF Montreal need to make the playoffs? So I'll show you the standings again. And let's remember, you have Nashville, Atlanta, Montreal, Philadelphia, Toronto. Those 4 or 5 teams are playing for the last 2 spots. In my opinion, in our opinion, we don't think that DC or New England can do something.
No.
Those 5 teams, there's going to be 2 in the play-in last 2 spots for the playoffs.
Yeah, realistically, Hady, I think CF Montreal needs to win out everything to be able to give themselves a decent shot at the playoffs. Like there's no game that I can see that we can afford to lose just because of the momentum. That's what I think, Hady. We need all, 4 games? 1, 2, 3, 4. We need all 12 points for it. So
I think that if we get 12 points, we'll be close to New York City FC, honestly.
But I mean, I can maybe like say we need to win the games that we need that we can consider almost wins, like San Jose, Charlotte. We need to win those games. In Atlanta, at least a draw in Atlanta. So I will need at least 9. I agree with Pat. 9 points for us to consider playoff bound.
Nah, I say 6. We need 6 to 7 points to
Okay,
make the playoffs.
but then
So
you're
I
basing
think,
so much on those around you.
you need 40 to 41 points to get to the playoffs.
Okay.
So
I would say maybe.
I have a strong feeling Philadelphia will make it. I'm not sure who from Montreal, Atlanta, and Nashville is going to make it.
Yeah, it's such a dice. I know.
I don't think Toronto will do it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be between those three: Montreal, Atlanta, and Nashville. But Philadelphia is going to clinch it very easily.
If it comes to decision day again, Hady, I rage quit, man.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I love decision day.
Perfect. So I think we did answer all your questions. I hope you guys liked our show and that it was fun, obviously. So, Andy, thanks a lot for being here with me tonight. I know Elias wasn't able to be here. He's playing, by the way, a final with the team that he coaches. So he's very excited. So that's why he's not
rooting
here.
for him.
We're rooting for him. I'm pretty sure he's gonna win.
He's gonna kill it.
Let's not say that. But he's gonna be good. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be a good coach, like Laurent Courtois was in last week. 100%. Guys,
he's gonna bring Matko.
Watching us. Matko Miljevic. Yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone, for watching us. As I always say, this content is always going to be free. If you want to help us build something better, want to help us grow, feel free to join our Patreon page, and you can give whatever you want. There's a lot of people that join for free, and that's okay. Also, if you want to be up to date with everything that we're doing, it's okay too. But you can, if you want to, give $4 or $5 every month and help us out and let us grow that product. Thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot, Andy, for being here with me. And I'll say see you next week for episode 197 of The Ball is Round. We're there. We're almost there. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you soon.